Guys, I think I found one of the worst animation communities on the entire internet. It's filled to the brim with controversial creators, many of whom we'll get to today. If you're unaware of who they are, as I explained in my previous video, they're a group of people that are fans of BFDI, otherwise known as Battle for Dream Island. Fans of BFDI and the niche of videos inspired by it are often referred to as the Object Show Community, or OSC. However, over the years, OSC has been hit with numerous scandals, many of which we'll get into today. And the last two stories we have today, I kid you not, are two of the most batshit insane stories I have ever told on this channel. But before we get into those, we've got to warm ourselves up a bit. We're going to take things from the least extreme stories, and as this video goes on, they're going to get crazier and crazier. So let's start off with one that's a bit more tame so I can ease you into the absolute depravity that will be the next 20 minutes of your life. This is the exposure of Donut Gamer. A few years ago, one of BFDI's co-creators launched a website called the OSC Hot 100, which tracked the sub-counts of various creators within the OSC community. This was a leaderboard-style website, so you could see who had the most subscribers in order. Anytime an OSC creator overtook another one, they would go up the leaderboard. It was a fun, harmless concept in theory, but what would happen when a creator potentially became too obsessed with metrics? Well, that's where Donut Gamer comes in. As you can see on the leaderboard, the most subscribed OSC creator is JackAngelify, which makes sense considering that he's the person that made this all possible. JackAngelify's main account is also the only one that has over 1 million subscribers. But in February 2024, a new challenger approached, one that absolutely shot up the rankings. And that challenger was Donut Gamer. In the span of a single month, he went from a relative nobody to the second most subscribed OSC creator on the entire internet. He surpassed 100k, 200k, 300, 500, a million, 1.5 million. By the month's end, he had almost 2 million subscribers and was fastly approaching JackAngelify's crown. But something seemed off, because within the OSC community, people still really didn't know who he was. He was still that relative nobody that he was a month prior. And then things got even more curious. Right now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of YouTube insight. I do this as my full-time job, so I hope I'd be at least a little bit more qualified to discuss on these matters. But I would say that if you receive a new subscriber for every 100 views, that's a pretty damn good return. On my channel, right now, I have just shy of 200,000 subscribers, which means I'd be 28th on the leaderboard. And I have 30 million views, which means that for every 150 views I get, I'll gain 1 subscriber on average. But if you take a look at Donut Gamer's channel, he has almost 2 million subscribers, but only has 5.7 million views. This channel is averaging a new subscriber for every 2.85 views. This, my friends, is essentially impossible. You would think that if a creator had almost 2 million subscribers, the vast majority of which coming in the past 2 years, then he'd be able to drop a video that gets more than 2,000 views. But apparently to Donut Gamer, this is a chore. I think by now you probably know where this one is going, so let me cut to the chase. Donut Gamer was subbotting. But one of the more interesting aspects about this, to me at least, is that he was never caught for this. Like, yes, the OSC community eventually figured out what he did, but YouTube didn't. It's been almost 2 years since he received this massive influx of subscribers, and little secret here between me and you, subbotting on YouTube can get you banned. Whatever the case, the channel was removed from the OSC Hot 100 leaderboard because it's not even arguable that they subbotted. I have heard through the grapevine that Donut Gamer was hacked. I can't confirm this to be true, but if it is, I do feel sorry for whoever initially made the channel because obviously it's just been hijacked by this point. But whatever the case, this is probably about the level that most people think of when they think of an OSC controversy. I mean, look at these guys. How could any OSC creator do anything worse than subbotting? Guys, you have no idea what you're about to get into. The only way to raise this flame of controversy is with Cole. When it comes to a niche of content like OSC, you would hope that given its bright colours and joyful aesthetic, that the creators behind it are happy-go-lucky people crafting their art under positive work conditions. But when it comes to the production for Cole the Geek's content, well, allegedly, that's not the case. Back in early 2025, Cole was exposed for a number of reasons that we'll get into momentarily. But the first one I want to discuss is the treatment of his team. You can see here a screenshot from his Discord server where he announced the requirements to be on his team. He allowed anyone over the age of 13 to join, preferencing people that were 16 plus, and he wanted animations done within 5 to 7 days. It doesn't take a genius to know that animation notoriously takes a long time. 5 to 7 days is not realistic. And going off the fact that his channel only had a little more than 30,000 subscribers at the time, it's not like he would have been making too much money off YouTube. Most of his work, if not all of it, I'd anticipate was unpaid. People were essentially calling him a slave master. If not for that reason, then for what he had to say about members of the Black community, which is the next controversy he faced. For whatever reason, in a VC, he decided to draw this. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the smoking gun. My friend, in the OSC community, do you really think you can get away with making this? Like, you're just asking for cancellation at this point. On a real note though, I'm not going to say too much on this accusation because I don't know Cole personally, I don't know what his views are. I would anticipate that this image was just a joke, but again, if he is actually like a member of the SS, I don't want to be the one defending him or anything. There were other, perhaps more serious things that he was cancelled for though, including defending Gary, another OSC creator who was accused of grooming a 14-year-old when he was 18. Cole apparently argued that Gary had changed, but obviously this was going to be a difficult position on the internet to defend. He was also accused of using AI in his personal apologies. However, I'm not going to go too hard in on him for this, because simply put, it's tough to know these days. If you want to read his apology, take a look now. I, for one, highly suspect that this was the case. This was an incredibly formal apology, but I can't prove without a shadow of a doubt that this was in fact written by AI, so take this allegation with a grain of salt. People were genuinely pressed about this, lamenting about it all over Twitter. After all of this, a response to the situation had to be made, and so Cole would make an apology video. But very shortly after, he took it down, and his entire channel was stripped of its content. And unfortunately for me, despite my best efforts, I couldn't find his apology video anywhere. However, a Twitter user named SparkRizzle summarized it by saying that he claimed the racism was a joke and that he had a black girlfriend, which I guess is meant to be a defense. I don't know if it will hold up in court, but we'll move on. He also said that he regretted not being nicer towards his crew and that he didn't use AI in his apologies. Apparently, he just wrote like that. He also said that he felt betrayed. He eventually continued content creation, but things haven't exactly been smooth sailing for this past year. I decided to check out his most recent video, and it has roughly a 2/3 like to dislike ratio. Still positive, but there's a large portion of his viewers that are hating on him, and the comment section isn't exactly the most supportive of him. Cole is probably going to find it very tough to shake this hate, but he is by no means the worst creator we have today. The next two are much worse in my opinion. As I said at the start of this video, the two stories in the back half are two of the wildest stories I have ever told. But before we get into them, we're about halfway through this video now, so I'd just like to remind you that if you haven't already and you find yourself enjoying this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Liking, subscribing, and getting vocal down in the comments is the quickest and easiest way to tell me that you're enjoying this. And if these sorts of videos do well, then I'll carry on making them. But if you're still on the fence about liking and subscribing, then I'll show you why you should with the rest of this video. So this next one, I've been dreading. This is, I kid you not, one of the most over-the-line stories I have ever told. And if you've watched this channel for a while, you will know that I have covered some degenerate shit in my days. I've spoken about furries that had a sex party over a pizza. I've spoken about an alt-right female VTuber that got exposed for being a guy, and I've made an entire video dedicated to someone I dubbed the Go Animate Gooner, but this next story might have all of them beat. This is the tale of a poi. This is the channel of a person on YouTube, commonly abbreviated to Apoy, and that's how we're going to refer to him for the rest of this story. Apoy is an OSC content creator. I don't believe that he's strictly an animator, but rather he makes content about this animation niche. And it seems like he did it quite well too, because he has over 160,000 subscribers, meaning that he'd be the 33rd largest OSC channel on YouTube. However, Apoy had a deep, dark, and disgusting secret that was revealed in the summer of 2025. And that secret was, Apoy had a fart fetish. I wish I was kidding. But alas, I'm not. This is what my life has come to. I have a university degree, and I'm researching some weirdo's fart fetish for a living! Come on, man! Where do I even start with this? I guess I'll say this, okay? Having a weird fetish in a vacuum, as long as it's not hurting anybody and it's legal, is not morally bad, okay? Like, I'm not trying to kink shame. I get a little bit of stick from time to time because I'm talking about people with weird kinks. It's not, you know, you're not Hitler for having a fart fetish, okay? I'm not going to rip into someone who's into something that's a bit freaky deaky if it's just that. But there is a reason I'm including him in this video. And that's because Apoy went above and beyond how he should have when it came to a fart fetish. If you've seen that video of like 7 stages of a fart fetish, he was definitely on stage at least 5 or 6. So the story goes that he wanted someone on Discord, known as Jelly, to fart into a microphone and send him the audio. He was caught in 4K doing this, okay? The screenshots do not lie, this is legitimate. There are a tremendous amount of screenshots here, including him talking to her on his main account before switching over to his alt called Kinker. And on this account, he has a bio where he's asking people to trade farts with him. However, the really big problem here was that first of all, his fart fetish was so extreme that he even allegedly made a BFDI fart fetish Discord server dedicated to it. The problem is that large parts of the OSC community are literal children, okay? Let's be honest with ourselves, the main demographic of OSC are not adults. I'm sure that there are some adults that watch it, but take a look at it. Children are the main target audience. So many have theorized that there were kids in this server. However, I can't say for certain because apparently when this all came out, the server got nuked. Another allegation was that he apparently commissioned artists to draw lewd images of his favorite characters, Eggy and Pillow. Think about that for a sec. I know I've said this before, but bro, you are too far down the Guna rabbit hole if you are spending $100, which is what it was, on NSFW drawings of anthropomorphic eggs and pillows. Alice, you are far down the rabbit hole, because what the hell? Like, that one's not even too much of a problem. It's not illegal. I don't think he commissioned a child to draw these, but if someone's gonna pay someone $100 to draw these images, I feel like I at least have to mention it. Back to more pressing matters, the main problem was that the person he had asked this audio from, who I think goes by Leafy or Jellyworm on Twitter, well, several hours before he asked for this, she had told him that she was considering ending herself. Upon her not going through with it and the conversation cooling down, a few hours later, that's when he asked. I don't even know how to react anymore. Like, what? Brother, there is a time and a place to ask for farts. Doing it hours after someone almost died? Are you joking? This video has just descended into the most brain rot thing I have ever told. To make matters worse, the victim alleged that he had followed her only a week after she had turned 18, writing on Twitter that he may like farts and depressed girls who are newly legal. Apoy responded to the critique saying that it was a dumb decision on his part. He would come out to admit wrongdoing on his end, saying that it was just bad timing and that he didn't mean to hurt Jelly. Apoy has not uploaded since this went down in August. His latest and potentially final video received a ton of dislikes, and he even went as far as having to turn the comments off. To be honest, I think that it's going to be quite hard for Apoy to come back from this. Let's be honest guys, if you're caught spending $100 on lewd drawings of eggs, the internet won't forget that. But to try and wrap things up, I decided to reach out to Jelly and ask her a few questions. To my surprise, she actually responded, and she said this. She claimed that Apoy had been an emotional support figure for her during a vulnerable time in her life. She also claimed that he did initially show genuine concern for her. However, she also claimed that he had completely overstepped his boundaries by asking for this, and that while she didn't think that it was malicious, given the context, it was very inappropriate. She also claimed that she wasn't judging based on the specific fetish, but rather the fact that he made any requests like this unsolicited. It wasn't like he checked in on her to find out if she was okay with this and then asked for it. He just straight up asked for it. On a bit of a lighter note though, I can confirm that she told me that no attempt was made in the end, and that she's in a much better place now, which I'm very happy to hear. But here's the thing, guys. As I told you earlier, there were 4 stories in this video. And I also told you that each one gets worse and worse, which means that Apoy isn't even the worst story in this video. I think that the next person did something even crazier than ask for farts. It's time to tell you the tale of Cloudy Eggs. This is the channel of Cloudy Eggs. As of November 2025, he has 18,000 subscribers. And as you can see with his most popular content, he's made a few different videos on OSC. Perhaps one of his main claims to fame is that he created and voiced a character in the universe known as Fiery Underwear. And yeah, this is a flame in his skimpies and nothing else. Which I guess means that all the other characters in BFDI are technically naked, but I don't even care to get into it. Just for fun, let's do a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type thing. Pause the video now to read the options and let me know down in the comments which one you think he did. If you chose D, he was outed as a predator, well done! You move on to the next round, you win $5,000, contact me on Instagram to claim your prize. I'm just gonna cut to the chase, guys, because after Apoy's story, I don't think I have the mental bandwidth right now to delve into the specifics. Reading from an expose post made back in 2019 on the OSC wiki, Cloudy was alleged to have made a series of pictures on Deviant where his character was being forced into a diaper by a bully. He then had another image where his character was getting spanked by a Hamato OC, which, in case you don't know, is an original character made from some sort of a gerbil manga series. I can't lie, this is an area of the internet where I'm not really clued up on it, and for good reason, but apparently in this DeviantArt picture, his character's getting spanked and then pisses himself. Long story short, because I'm not gonna dare get into the nitty-gritty of this, Cloudy was outed for having a diaper fetish. But trust me, it gets worse. In October 2020, a YouTube channel called Team CEA was born, and it would upload a video exposing Cloudy Eggs' Discord messages. I don't have an exact age, but at the time, they claimed that Cloudy Eggs was roughly 16 to 17 years old, and certain members of his server were allegedly 11 to 13 years old. According to the screenshots, within his server, he would engage in fetish roleplay with minors. To be honest, I'd argue that his character, the Fire, is probably a loose way that he's engaging with his fetish. And brace yourself for some cringe, because the Discord messages got leaked. And if I had to witness them, you have to witness them too. Appears confused. Spanks Cloudy. Peas in diaper. I think that Wooloo has it right. Confusion, and this is my exact response too. In another exchange, it shows him admitting to having paraphilic infantilism. This is one of those things where if you have it, you just can't be sharing this with 13-year-olds. This is between you and your therapist. To make matters worse, here are more screenshots. My fetish will end up with me wearing my mum's bra, and I know I certainly don't want to wear that. Brother, you get to choose! This isn't some sort of Ratatouille situation where someone's controlling your every move. If you don't want to do it, then don't! And to top it all off, the video then claimed that he made a member of his Discord send him an inappropriate image. Now here's the thing. When I first came across this story, I actually wasn't going to include it in the video. I thought, first of all, it was going to drive me mad, which granted it has, but second, I didn't know if this was a fact. There was a video made on it, but Discord messages can be faked. So, I didn't want to do anything that couldn't be proven for a fact. That was, however, until I looked into the comment section of the Team CEA exposure video, and to my surprise, he left a comment down below admitting to it. Now, it's been several years since this happened. CloudyEggs hasn't uploaded in 3 years, so perhaps he's left the internet. God, I hope he has. A reply to a comment about him claimed that his parents had booked him in for therapy, which, to be honest, I think is for the best. That said, the controversies don't stop there. In January 2021, a user named KiwiPuppa made a post to the BFDI wiki, claiming that they too had been a victim of CloudyEggs. Now, the thing here is that KiwiPuppa never provided an exact timeline for when this happened. He claimed that it happened when CloudyEggs was 18, which would imply it was after the Team CEA video, but I can't confirm that. It could be that whatever happened to KiwiPuppa happened a little bit before that, before the Team CEA video and before the CloudyEggs apology. If it came after his apology though, then it shows that he didn't actually change. They claim that Cloudy had made them engage in romantic roleplays and had exposed them to things that were inappropriate for them to look at given their age. KiwiPuppa claimed to be 13 as of the time they wrote this post, and they urged people not to interact. Whatever's happened to CloudyEggs ever since is as much of a mystery to me as I'm sure it is to you. Given that he's such a small channel in the grand scheme of things, it's quite hard to keep tabs on him. He very well could have just abandoned CloudyEggs and re-emerged under a new username with a fresh start. Cloudy's final video was uploaded in February 2022, and its description read, "That's all folks," implying that it would be his last. But I really do hope that he's put his diaper, piss, adult baby, and humiliation fetish behind him, and I hope that his victims have been able to overcome what he allegedly put them through and move on with their lives. But before you move on from this video, I'd love it if you checked out the most recent episode of my Animayhem series. Animayhem is the video series where I cover the most insane controversies and scandals from the animation community. I speak about another OSC creator there who told me that my video on him was the best he had ever seen, and I also speak about a shorts animator that may or may not have tried to scam his audience, and an animator/VTuber that may or may not be running a cult. So click on the screen right now to check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. Aside from that, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.